Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most exciting fights in UFC history. We're talking about DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev. I'm super ultra pumped about this fight. I'm so excited about this fight. I don't even know how to express it. I don't know how I can express how excited I am about this fight. Let me just turn on the light here. It's a little bit dark. These two guys are maybe the two best finishers in MMA history. DDP is finishing everybody. Khamzat's finishing almost everybody. He didn't finish Usman, didn't finish Gilbert Burns, but he's annihilating guys. Annihilation with strikes, with submissions. Both these men are like runaway trains. When it comes to finishing, they attack. They're relentless. Their records are spotless. I always love fights where I don't know what's gonna happen. I look at the blue corner. I'm like, that guy's a killer. He's gonna beat anybody. Then I look in the red corner. I'm like, wait a second. No, that guy's a killer, and he can beat absolutely anybody. And this is one of those fights. I keep looking from one corner to the other, and I have no idea who's gonna win this fight. It's an absolutely insane matchup. I'm super ultra excited about this fight. But guys, I'm gonna give you my pick. I didn't look at the odds makers. I don't want to see any of that. I'm telling you, I'm picking Khamzat Chimaev. I know we're going to dispute. I know we're going to go back and forth. I put a poll. I know I'm not going to do a thorough, ultra, super close look breakdown like I always do. I'll tell you why. Because we're all thinking the same thing. Everybody here is thinking the same thing. Does Khamzat have the cardio to finish 5 rounds? If Khamzat doesn't win in the first 2, DDP is going to take over. Everybody thinks that. I don't care. Even if your grandma just watched 5 minutes of Khamzat and 5 minutes of DDP, she would come to the same conclusion. Why? Khamzat has showed that he fades in later rounds. It's been his Achilles heel. He's so phenomenal. Nobody could beat this man. If fights had a 7-minute time limit, imagine for some reason the state of Nevada, the state of the USA, they made, okay, you guys, you can fight MMA, no problem, but because, it's a bit of a dangerous sport, we're only going to allow you one round of 7 minutes. That's it. Yeah, it's no holds barred. You can punch, you can kick, you can knee, you can wrestle, you can choke, do all that stuff, enjoy yourselves, but the fight is 7 minutes, not 15 minutes, not 25 minutes, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's how long the fight lasts. Let me tell you guys something. Khamzat will be world champion in 3 different weight classes, and nobody would ever beat him. If you ask anybody to fight Khamzat for 7 minutes, Khamzat's going to come out on top in the first 7 minutes against anybody. But that talent seems to come at a price. He always seems to fade. Against Usman, the 3rd round, I'd have to rewatch it again, but I think he squeaked it out. I'm not even sure. I'd have to rewatch it, but you could see he was struggling. It was a struggle. It wasn't easy. You have to think, if there was 2 more rounds, what would have happened with Kamaru? When he fought Gilbert Burns, the same thing. You question what would happen if there was 2 more rounds. Can he finish DDP in the first 2? I put up a poll, and I'm looking at it real quick here. Does Chimaev have the cardio to win a decision? 66% say yes. That's crazy to me, okay? And, now he's training with Coach Cal. He's in the U.S., and Coach Cal he has a cycling background. He's all big on endurance, and Khamzat Chimaev is going there to see Coach Cal to see if he can increase his endurance. And, of course, we see Khamzat Chimaev training around the clock on the internet. He's training around the clock. He's training like a madman. He was training like a madman before this fight. But one thing's for sure, all experts are going to say, every regular Joe is going to say, that if he doesn't finish DDP, we all expect DDP to win 4 and 5. And maybe DDP finishes. Don't forget, DDP is also an incredible finisher. Let's look at DDP's topology here. DDP. Let's reminisce on all his finishes. He's 9-0 in UFC. He went undefeated in UFC, went all the way to the title. I think he's only ever lost once in his career. Let me look. No, he's lost twice in his career. He's 23-2. Okay, let's go back here. He lost to Soldic in 2018. Okay, that's one of my students. I actually trained Roberto Soldic for that fight. Okay. Then he won by punches, guillotine, knockout, decision, Brad Tavares went to decision with him. Okay, he didn't finish Brad Tavares. That's true. Darren Till, rear naked choke. Derek Brunson, corner stoppage. Robert Whitaker, power jab to punches. Sean Strickland, decision. Adesanya, rear naked choke. Sean Strickland, unanimous decision. The guy has an incredible finishing rate. Okay, Sean Strickland, Tavares, and I believe one more. Who else didn't get finished? No, that's it. That's it. Tavares and Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was able to go to the distance twice with him. The man is a finisher. If Khamzat Chimaev is a little bit tired, he's going to crush Khamzat Chimaev. Is that possible? Can we see Khamzat Chimaev be dominated? I'm going with Khamzat. I think he's going to pull it off. I think he's going to go in there round 1 in the first minute. He's going to get the fight to the ground. In 60 seconds, guys. Start your timer. And in 60 seconds, probably he's going to get the fight to the ground. I think it's a high probability. He's going to get him to the ground. He's going to mangle him. He's going to work. He's going to look great in round 1. Round 2 or round 1, he gets a finish, hopefully. Okay, now could he make it to the distance and win by decision? I'm going to say yes. Yes, he can win the first 3 rounds. Maybe win the first 2, chill in the third, maybe lose a third and come back hard to win the 4th or the 5th. I believe he's going to be able to pull it off. Khamzat's first real fight, that's from Rainbow. I wouldn't say that, okay? Khamzat's fought stiff competition. He just beat Robert Whitaker. Shame on you for saying that, okay? He's fought stiff competition. He fought Kamaru Usman, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. Sure, that was short notice. Sure, it was a weight class up, but that's still Kamaru Usman. Coach is betting on the wrestler. Big surprise. No. I often take the striker too, guys. I don't always side with the wrestler. That's really untrue, 100% untrue. But I would tell you, I'm a big Khamzat fan. I would love to see him win. I'm a big DDP fan, but I'm a bigger Khamzat fan. Have you guys not seen Dricus getting ground and pounded by Darren Till? Yeah, but he ended up finishing Darren Till. How did he finish Darren Till again? Remind me. It was a hook or something? No, it was punches. No, they retired. He retired on a stool. I have to go back and rewatch that fight. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Salam, coach. I think Khamzat might win the fight, but also DDP could win this. It's very interesting. That's from Guad. You just really didn't think about that comment. You know, obviously both guys can win. Obviously, both these guys are crazy, strong finishers. Now, you guys see DDP, like when he's fighting, sometimes he's breathing with his mouth open. He's like huffing and puffing. But man, that guy will grind it out to the end. He doesn't stop fighting. He looks fatigued, but he just keeps pushing. He's relentless. Can Khamzat dig deep? Can the wolf dig deep when it gets tough? I think so. I think he's going to have a major advantage in wrestling, but he has to use it wisely. That's the thing. He's been reckless with his wrestling. He's been a bit crazy with his wrestling. He's done crazy things where he's spending more energy than he needs to. I think if he has a healthy fear of losing this fight, if he doesn't go in overconfident, and he actually controls his pace, he doesn't just do reckless stuff, he could beat DDP. But if he goes in there, picks up DDP, slams him around, lets him back up, slams him around, lets him back up, starts taunting DDP, starts acting crazy, he could lose the fight. He did that a bit with Gilbert Burns. I didn't like it. I thought it was crazy. I thought he was underestimating Gilbert Burns. In round 1, he was kind of like, he took Gilbert Burns down. He worked hard for the takedown. Then he let Gilbert back up. Then he starts striking each other. Gilbert hit him. Instead of making adjustments, he starts like, yeah, let's go. Let's keep it. It's like, dude, don't get crazy, man. One wrong punch, one failed takedown, and you could lose the round. And that was a very close fight. If you watched the Gilbert Burns fight, I found it very close. I thought it could have even went the other way. I gave it to Khamzat. I'm not saying I didn't give it to Khamzat. I absolutely did. But I could see people argue that Gilbert won that fight. And especially Gilbert was doing really well in round 1 until he got hit with that jab and knocked down. He was doing well. It was a close first round. But I had to give it, of course, to Chimaev for the knockdown. No doubt about it. It was a close third round. The third round was also very close. That's a great fight, actually. I go back and watch that fight every so often. That was a phenomenal fight. Chimaev has been training with Sadulev, a Russian national team. I reckon his wrestling will be even more technical. That's from MX. MX, I agree. He's training with some top Russians. His wrestling's going to be a cut above. It's going to be a cut above, and it's always been. And I'm not surprised if he takes DDP down in the first 2 minutes. It would not surprise me at all. Do you agree with Khabib said about Khamzat keeping it standing? That's from Malcor. No, Malco, I wouldn't keep it standing. Okay, I would use my stand up to try to get it to the ground. I would be a little more patient. If I was training Khamzat for this fight, I would tell him, don't be so obvious in your takedown. Like, don't just shoot blindly, because even if you get the takedown, it's just you're wearing yourself out. You just take it easy. Try to find a nice, easy takedown, right? Find the right opportunity. Because DDP is going to be on high alert in round 1, minute 1. You gotta fight with DDP. You gotta strike with him. You gotta fight with him standing. And you gotta surprise him with the takedown. Because if you surprise him with the takedown, it's gonna be a lot easier than taking DDP and slamming him on the ground and holding him down. It's just so much more work, so much more risk. Obviously, DDP is gonna be at high alert. So fake your shot, throw some strikes, fake your shot, throw some strikes, fake your shot, throw some strike. Don't let him know when you're coming. Don't let him know when you're coming. And when he makes a wrong move or if he over punches, take him down. The more you catch him by surprise, the easier the takedown is going to be. All right, guys, I'm only doing questions on this fight. Okay, guys, yes, I would love to train with you all. Do come to TriStar, of course, but we're talking about the fight. Khamzat Chimaev versus DDP. Guys, how excited are you about this fight? I'm pumped about this fight. I know it's next week, but I was going to do a pre-fight analysis next week. I couldn't wait. I'm so pumped up about this fight. And I know a lot of us are thinking the same thing. It's either Khamzat in the first 2 or DDP is going to take 3, 4, and 5. I think that's what everybody would be thinking along the lines. It's a crazy fight. Why? Because Chimaev is such a strong starter. It's insane how strong of a starter he is. Coach, you should have watched the Weasel MMA breakdown of the fight. It's quite interesting. Maybe I will. Coach, do you think Khamzat's striking, especially his power, is underestimated? That's from Arib. Arib, he's a hard hitter, man. Khamzat is a hard hitter, but so is DDP. That's going to be really interesting how they're going to exchange. Guys, you have to give, in my opinion, you have to give DDP a little bit more credit and edge in striking because he's done a lot more striking. He has a kickboxing background. He's more tried and true in the striking. Khamzat has had a lot of success. A lot of his success has come from wrestling and ground game. And yes, he's landed some big shots of his own, but nowhere near as good as DDP. The pedigree is nowhere near as good. Yes, he knocked down Mearshart in round 1 and got on top of him and finished him. It was a beautiful combination. It was a beautiful, powerful shot. He's done it to a couple of guys outside the UFC, but I still wouldn't say his striking is at the caliber of a DDP. So for me, I'm going to give DDP the edge in striking. DDP has unorthodox wrestling. Could he take down? Could he take Khamzat down? That's from Leo. Leo, yes, he can take Khamzat down because he's a big, strong guy and he shoots in like a gorilla. It's incredible. When he shoots in, it's like a football tackle almost. It's like he's such a big chunk of muscle. If you're in his way, he could trip you up and bring you down to the mat. He can just charge you and bulldoze you over. But his wrestling is not as good as Khamzat. It's not. And to Khamzat, his unorthodox style is not going to matter. So for DDP could do all sorts of weird things. It ain't going to bother Khamzat. I'll tell you, Khamzat's seen weird things. It's irrelevant to Khamzat. What is relevant to Khamzat is how strong DDP is. Okay, his double leg doesn't come from the slickest technique. He's got good technique, yeah, but no, not the level of Khamzat. Okay, Khamzat has seen much higher caliber wrestling. But DDP is a freak athlete. When he tackles you, it's like an NFL player running into your legs. Okay, he's just a runaway train. When he shoots, it's not always clean, but it's powerful. In fact, I think DDP will be the one fatigue. That's from Guad. Guad, yeah, he does fatigue. I've noticed that too. Okay, he does seem to fatigue. But let me ask you this. He fatigues, but does his work rate slow down? He fatigues. He's feeling the pain, but then he starts working harder. And he kind of keeps up his pace. He doesn't really slow down. Sometimes he takes a little break here and there, but his output is really good. In my opinion, Khamzat seems like if not round 3 against Kamaru, and I have to go back and rewatch it, but I felt like if he didn't get that takedown, it could have been a problem. Like he took Kamaru down, got side control, held him down, and pinned him, and like you could tell he kind of needed a break. You could tell, in my opinion, that he was holding down a guy who took the fight on 1 week's notice, one weight class below, should be below. And he had to hold him down. He had to take a break. But again, that was a while back. Khamzat now has had time to up his cardio. And as we all know now, he's in the garage, and I believe it's California. And he's training with Coach Cal. And Coach Cal is known for getting guys in good shape. He's known for endurance work. Coach, is Khamzat's cardio similar to McGregor? Because McGregor is also a fast starter as well and slows down later. That's from Arch. I think they do have that in common, but Khamzat's more intense. Khamzat's is much more intense. I think McGregor was more relaxed and he could flow, and if he got into the right beat, he could do 5 rounds. But the thing is, if you make McGregor fight out of his comfort zone, you can kind of break him. Khamzat doesn't have that flow. He doesn't have that pace and I'll save some for a little bit for later. No, it seems like his personality. And don't forget, guys, I'll tell you something. You could train 10 people the same way, and they all fight differently. Why? Personality is huge. Personality shines during your fight. When you're fighting, your personality will show. How you are in life is how you fight. Believe it or not, it's kind of weird. But look at kind of like Royce Gracie. Royce Gracie grew up in the same system as Renzo Gracie. I was a big fan of both watching them. And you'd see that Renzo was like a fireball. He'd come out of the fight. He'd be hopping around. He'd drop in the guy's legs, get down, start elbowing. He was frantic in his fighting. Of course, he was super technical. He would get the submission, but he was a wild man. He was like a pit bull. Whereas Royce was methodical. They both trained in the same school of thought. They both trained under the Gracie clan. 2 guys train the same way. But when they get in there, they behave completely differently. Royce is cool. Royce kind of waits a little bit. Royce is kind of holding you. He's waiting for you to make a mistake. He's much more patient. But in life, when you meet them, Royce is kind of laid back. He's chill. He tells a joke or two. He's calm. It shows his personality. Renzo, in your room, and Renzo, and guys, I love being in the same space as Renzo. He's a wild man. He's telling stories, making everybody laugh. He's the center of attention. He's very charismatic. He's super energetic. They fight how their personalities, have developed. And you could tell that Khamzat's such an intense individual. He's like, I'm going to kill everyone. I'm going to kill everyone. Yeah, you want to kill everyone. That's great. Wolf, that's great. But if he had a coach that can kind of point him in the right direction and keep him on the game plan, but he'd have to have a coach he really respects. A coach he thinks, my coach really knows what's best for me. He has a trust in his coach. Because right now, I would see that I don't know who's the lion tamer in Khamzat's camp. Who can control that fireball? Who can tell him something and get him to go on a different path? Because, yes, you want to kill everyone. And that's what you want. You want a fighter who's just ready to fight anybody. But also he can take commands. He could take different options and understand that sometimes the team is telling you to do something, so you're going to do it. And if Khamzat had that, I think he could be a much better fighter. Because right now, we all know what's going to happen. The bell is going to ring, or the horn's going to sound, or whatever you want to call it. The referee's going to say fight. And Khamzat's going to go all out, man. He's going to be so pumped. He's going to be so excited. He's going to be so charged, because I bet you that's how he is. I bet you he's a bit of an emotional person. He gets very fired up. He's very emotional. It's all about how he feels. And when he gets into the octagon, and it's time to unleash his emotions, he's just going to run wild. And I think that could be his best weapon, and also in later rounds, his worst weapon. So at first, it's going to be his best weapon, because I really think he's going to be a ball of fire in the first round and a half. All right, guys, this is from Shiz, the top G of the chat. Everyone name only one fighter who out-wrestled, outclassed, KO'd in 13 seconds, lifted opponents off the ground, walked him to Dana White, took hard shots from number 2 fighter Gilbert Burns, broke former champ Robert's jaw, and finished opponents 1 round. Who? That's from Shiz. Shiz is telling you who's ever done anything like Chimaev. Guys, that is a tall order. That is a very tall order. Chimaev has proved time and time again that he's very special. I remember watching it, his first 3 fights, and I was thinking, is this the greatest rise to the title we've ever seen? Is this possible? Because he's on a track right now to show us he might have the greatest title run ever. But then, of course, the Gilbert Burns slowed that down. the Kumar Usman fight slow that down. Shiz, because I know Shiz is very big on Khamzat. He's been telling us about Khamzat since day one, and I'm very big on Khamzat as well. But I'll tell you something. Right now, if he wins the title, let's say, I would still say Ilia Toporia's rise to the title was greater. Why? Because he had less. He showed. It's hard to say. I couldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But offensively, nobody has been as good as Khamzat. Defensively, there's been much better. That's what I got to say. Because Topuria was just better defensively, but not maybe, and it's crazy to say, maybe not as entertaining offensively. It's hard to say because Ilia has been incredibly offensive as well. It's kind of difficult. Look, I think we can argue about that forever, but Ilia was much more, maybe they were equal in offense, but Ilia was more defensively sound and more robust. He never showed like he's wavering. We've seen Chimaev show signs of wavering. I don't think I've ever seen, okay, we're going to have to talk about the Jay Herbert fight. Yes, Ilia got hit, Ilia got hurt, but he came back quickly to turn things around. Okay, we saw a chink in his armor, but still less than Khamzat. I think defensively he was more responsible. Oh, thank you. What's this? Not for me. Khamzat really said he will feel his opponent, and if he feels he can break him, he will redline them like Rob Whittaker, Kevin Holland. That's from Izzy. Izzy, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say, this fight I'm going to kind of pace myself at first, and if I feel I can break him and go. I'm telling you, that makes sense. But haven't you seen Khamzat's behavior in the octagon? He fights with emotion. He's not as tactical as a Topuria. He's not as tactical as a GSP. He's not as tactical as some of these other greats. He's more emotional. And that's what makes him so entertaining, because he goes out there and it's a fight. He's not playing points. He's not playing games. He's not thinking about the time. He's going out there to do, like he says, kill everybody. And that's what he does, man. He goes out there. I think that game plan is going to go out the window. Now, some fighters can handle a game plan. Some fighters can mature throughout their career and follow game plans more. He reminds me a bit of a Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler, earlier on in his career, I don't think he, talking to Pat Miletich back in the day, he didn't want a game plan. He just wanted to go out there and fight. And as he matured, as he got older, he realized that, hey, there's different type of fighters out there, and you can't approach them all the same. And I think he wisened up and he became world champion. Because I remember when he was young, Pat Miletich was always telling me about him. He's like, I got this kid, Robbie Lawler. He's really, really good. You don't understand? He's a phenom. He would tell me all about him. And then I saw him and I was like, wow, he's great. And then he got into a few hard fights. And then he had a loss against, what was it again? Who was it again? Pat, anyways, I had a really bad loss in UFC Florida. I was there, actually. And I had another fighter on the card, and Pat Miletich was there, and we were hanging out, and he was like, you're going to see my boy. He's going to do amazing. And Robbie ended up losing that fight, actually quite badly. He took a lot of bad kicks to the leg. He was really badly injured. And I think he kept coming back stronger and smarter throughout his career and got more mature. We might see that out of a Khamzat. We might see that Khamzat needs time to mature. But as of now, I don't know if he has that trainer that's holding the reins. I think he's just a wildcat out there. He just goes out in the octagon and he's a wildcat. There's nobody taming him. It's his best weapon, but it's also going to be his worst nightmare in round 3, 4, and 5.